it's Mayhem. We just had an event called the Infinite Mind. Let's take a look of what's actually happening inside, because there is a huge lore drop at the end and a lot of people glazed over it. This is Alexi and Livian's event. The event has two stories. It is Legend of the Hero and Maze of Dreams. First, let's take a look at Legend of the Hero. Noah wakes up and he knows he's in Bathory Castle, but he's not sure why he's here, and he has this suspicion that this is not the Bathory Castle in his world. Joyce summons Noah and calls him a hero that is here to save the village. Joyce explains that Noah has not been here before. They have not met anywhere else, which is a little bit strange because we know from the main story that he has interacted with Joyce at least a couple of times. But he claims that he lives in this castle, aka this village, with a bunch of other people. He says something really interesting here. At the end, he says, "Perhaps I have not awakened at all, but remain ensnared in some sort of absurd dream." And Joyce says, Noah has triggered a story task. As the protagonist, defeat the demons without hesitation. Joyce explains that this demon lord rose from the castle steps and it feeds on blood. He has taken over the fortress and took the princess hostage. He commands this fiend that has 3 heads, each one that's thinking on their own, and anyone who goes near this demon lord are thrown in as meat. Joyce says, "Please slay this demon lord and save the princess." They hear someone calling for help, and Joyce says, "Oh, well, I did make a weapon for you, but it's not here." Someone had stolen the weapon, and they keep hearing this screaming. And there's this freaky looking dude over here with all this pus and fire coming out of his head. This gorgeous succubus comes forth. It is Alexi. And Alexi makes it pretty clear that she's here to kill this bog creature and she's gonna eat him. She ends up killing him, eating him, and Joyce explains Noah is going out on this mission and Alexi is going to be his companion for it. In chapter 2, Thief and Phantom, they start off in the woods and they are looking for someone who looks like Joyce, and this is the bandit Joyce. They're searching for this bandit because they believe that he is the one who stole the sword from Noah and Chief Joyce. But Noah realizes that they've been here already. They have gone in circles. They seem to have been in the woods for a while now. Alexi mentions that when she is close to him, that she feels his heart racing. Noah asks if it's because of the black blood, which Alexi has never heard of. And Noah explains that her form reminds him of the black blood disease, going through that mutation, but she is different. They get horns, they get wings, a tail, and their bodies start getting mangled, again, going through this mutation. But then their memories and their emotions slip away. And he asks Alexi, "Do you remember who you were before?" And she doesn't. She mentions that the chief told her that she was found in a chamber deep within the castle. She had wandered there endlessly, and he had told her it was unsafe to leave her alone, so they brought her back. Alexi reveals that she knows who they're going after. It's actually the chief's son. She watched him slip into the forest with something wrapped in cloth. They find footprints, and they decide to follow it, but before they do that, Noah thinks that something is a little bit off about these footprints. It might be a trap. He sees the forest edge and he sees a glow there. He thinks that it might be the castle's light. He finds a thief hiding in a tree. So there's Chief Joyce and his son, Bandit Joyce, and they're identical. And he says that despite the demon lord descending upon the world, his father refuses to leave this place. He wants to sell the sword before the demon lord notices and live a little better. They get attacked by some ghosts. And they notice again that they are wandering in circles, even though that they thought that they saw at the end of the forest. But Noah insists that he thinks he knows where they're going. He's mapping out the route. If they find enough distinct landmarks, they can piece together some form of a workable map. Next, let's move into Sword and Fiend, chapter 3. Joyce gets kind of worried that they've been gone for a while. He worries for his son. He worries for Noah. He worries for Alexi. So he takes off. Back in the woods, Noah feels that his powers might be restricted here. He can't call upon his covenant or his power. Alexi claims that she can help as long as Noah allows her into his dreams. It's her power. She can slip into anyone's dreams and contact them. Noah brings up that from the moment they met, she's been acting a little bit strange. Bandit Joyce keeps getting attacked by these ghosts, and he starts to get worried. I might die here. As he fights them off, Noah and Alexi catches up to him, and it turns out Joyce lost the sword. He claims that he decided to go back because instead of trying to sell the sword, he figures that Noah might need it in order to have a chance against the demon lord. But when he got ambushed, he lost it. Noah asks, well, do you happen to know where you lost it? Do you have a general direction? And Bandit Joyce says it's somewhere here in the woods. He knows these trees better than anyone. He searched every corner that he could, and this is the last place that it could be, which triggers a task. Even swords feel lonely when abandoned. They deal with a couple of fiends and find Chief Joyce out in the woods. They finally get reunited. Bandit Joyce pleads with him, we don't have to stay here. That demon lord is coming. Let's just sell the sword, take the money, and start a new life somewhere else. But the chief is not going to hear anything about it. He says, we can run now, but we can't run forever. He doesn't want to run away. He wants to secure some sort of a future. Joyce, who found the sword, hands it over to Noah. It supposedly bears the princess's blessing and can banish any evil that walks this realm. And they complete the story quest next chapter, to be or not to be. Noah uses the sword and he takes down all of the fiends in a single hit. Chief Joyce is on the ground right now, but Bandit Joyce insists that he can take his dad back into the castle, back into the village, so those two are going to be out of the story for now. When Noah and Alexi take a break, Noah notices that there is another presence there, and it's another Joyce, because why not? And this is supposedly Hero Joyce. Hey, why are you dressed like some gallant hero? And we're just gonna go with because I like role-playing, because essentially that's what we're doing right now in this event. Why does he understand the lore better than I do? So the game gets kind of meta, and this is just one of those situations. We actually had a conversation in main chord inside the plot channel when I was sharing my unhinged theory of what was going on in this event. And for me, when I was going through the event, especially in the second part, I was getting really creepy Undertale kind of vibes. Hero Joyce eyes the sword that Noah has. He's like, wait, you're the one that's planning to rescue the princess from that dragon? And Hero Joyce says, the prophecy came true. A hero bearing the blade has truly appeared. And Hero Joyce is like, well, I guess I'm the sidekick here. And he throws a bit of a tantrum. But he says, I still think I'm the hero here, so let's take a little challenge. We'll see who can reach the princess first. They get another story task. Even counterfeits are the poor man's helpless lament. The path leads them deeper into the castle, and he figures we're going to go there anyway, so let's just follow him and see where it takes us. He hears a mysterious voice calling to him. It's asking him to not place himself in harm's way. And the task, let them all bask in eternal bliss. Happiness without end. And then the voice fades. Alexi heard the voice too. She feels like the voice is familiar, though she can't put her finger on exactly what it is. Next, Castle and Princess. They're inside the castle, but before we continue, I want you to take a look at the backgrounds. Look at all of those staircases. Look how it is moving in that circular fashion. I can be completely off base here. I just want you to take a look at that. They hear Hero Joyce's voice and decide to go check on him. They find him cornered and trying to flail his weapon, trying to figure out what exactly this hero is supposed to do. Joyce doesn't want to accept any help, so he gets slapped in the face and falls. Noah draws his sword to defend Hero Joyce from the fiends, only to reveal an empty hilt. Joyce says, well, maybe you're a fake protagonist too. They're forced to fight through them old school way. Noah asks why Hero Joyce wants to become a hero anyway. Hero Joyce says, the prophecy, of course. What else? Joyce mentions that this world has long passed down a prophecy. When the world withers and sinks into desolation, a hero bearing a sword shall appear, sever the chains of time, and bring forth new hope. But after countless ages of waiting, no hero ever came. And Hero Joyce decides, well, if no one's gonna do it, then I will. Noah again gets that feeling that something is off, and Hero Joyce says, I mean, did you run into that fake village chief? Happens all the time. He says that some side tasks love to masquerade as story tasks, long, tedious slogs, and when you finally finish them, all you get is useless junk. But Noah had already used it and slain and one-tapped all those fiends in the woods, so how could it be fake? Noah says maybe it's because this isn't the moment to wield it. He says dangling high-tier gear early on that serves no use. That's a classic ploy to hook the player. See, this is what I mean. This is super meta. We're getting super meta here. Much like what's happening now, the true meaning may not show itself until long afterward. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. When we get to the end of the video, you're gonna see exactly that all of this, what I thought to be fluff within this event, actually leads up to something important. Joyce says maybe that blade, perhaps what it severed was never what stood before you at all. Plus, who can truly explain fate anyway? He hears that voice again. Hero, my great hero. Hero Joyce hears it as well. It's probably the princess's voice. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go save that princess. But Noah says, wait a minute, this could be a trap. But Joyce reminds him, hey, we're racing, or we're still rivals. 1-6, sacrifice and hope. They end up in this huge hall. And Alexi says, such an enormous space concealed within these walls, you can't even tell from the outside. And he's feeling a bit weird about it. Hero Joyce is here as well. Sees that Noah and Alexi actually beat him here, but Hero Joyce took off first and they did not cross paths, so how is this possible? He says, I followed the voice, but now you're just here standing in front of me. Did you find a secret passage? Do you know how to teleport? And she's like, yeah, this is weird. Could this corridor just be one big circle? Now, if you think about it, when they were in the woods, they figured out the same thing. Noah realized that they kept circling these different paths inside the forest. Even when they thought they reached the edge of this forest, they ended up getting all turned around as well. Joyce also finds it a little bit weird because if this was a circle, then he should have caught up with them from behind, not from the front. Noah decides, I guess I'll just retrace our steps again. He tries to, but suddenly he's just right there with Joyce and Alexi again. Says, you know what, let me try again. If I walk back again, I should return to you, but just to be certain. And then they hear someone crying out for help. Alexi looks up, something is above them. It's actually the princess, Joyce. And Joyce calls Alexi a pervert, which is accurate. I can't believe I finally get to meet the princess. And Princess Joyce is like, oh my gosh, are you a hero? Then they start tapping their noses together in affectionate ways. After they start doing that nose tappy thing, they start realizing that they're all drifting away from each other, but they don't know why. The hall is also starting to feel larger. The space is expanding. And then they hear another voice. Chosen hero, you are. Expected, it was. All right, Yoda, where are we going with this? So quick to uncover the hall's secret. Bored, so sleepy. 3 thunderous voices reverberate through the hall, and Noah realizes that this is exactly what he experienced in the forest, and that 3-headed fiend comes forward. They note that she's transformed. She has completed the prerequisite tasks. They reach out and tear through her chest. Once again, Noah tries to draw the sword, but the blade doesn't manifest. He tells Hero Joyce to get Alexi out of there. Somehow, his blade is there now, and it won't even scratch the dragon. Noah wants to know if Joyce found a way out, but Joyce says no matter how far they run, they always end up right back here. Alexi says, just leave me here. Princess Joyce says that she's been here for a while because once you step into this hall, there's no way out. A world on the brink of death, a single road it offers. And then they mention time travel. If you've played through the campaign, you know travel happens a bunch of times. And Noah says, wait a minute, you just said time travel? So you know who I really am beyond this world? And me is like, let's kill this guy. They say, come on, one more round, and Noah says, so this isn't the first time I faced you. The dragon starts to get this energy that it's gathering. Noah says there's got to be some sort of weakness here. And he can feel the fabric of space tearing up. But he says, not yet. There has to be another way. And when I read this, I was like, what does that mean? He feels the very fabric of space tearing apart, but he says, not yet. There has to be another way. So is he aware that you can tear apart the fabric of space? And this event did happen after the Stella and Albrecht event, where they learned that you can tear these fabrics into space and time and move between worlds doing so. Hero Joyce says, so all it takes is killing the hero and this ends, right? And he decides to sacrifice himself. He says, listen up, you blabbering beast. Once the hero is eliminated, the others can escape this hall and proceed to the next phase of the task, correct? Namiya says, eliminate the hero for us. You would? Joyce unsheaths his sword and says, Noah, you're a hero. Making sacrifices when necessary is standard procedure, right? And Noah says, if this will actually get us out, then do it. Joyce, the moment we're out of here, get Alexi medical help immediately. Her injuries can't wait any longer. And Joyce, like a true hero, hurls himself forward. He says, when I woke this morning, I never dreamed I'd meet my end today, but neither did I dare hope I finally realized my destiny. This thing called fate truly defies all understanding. He's going to sacrifice himself. Wait a minute. He's exploiting a plot loophole. Oh my gosh, it's once again, I know I keep saying that we're going to explore these things towards the end, but I need to point them out to you right now. So when we do see them at the end, you're going to get that mind explosion that I felt. Hero Joyce says, even the most ordinary souls living the most ordinary lives deserve to have a few magnificent shining moments. Now let's go to Maze of Dreams. 2-1, awake or asleep? Noah realizes that he's still alive, but he just sees darkness and he can't feel his body or his limbs anymore. He gets these flashes of memories and he feels like everything that transpired was like a dream, but he can still feel the lingering of the sensations. He hears a voice saying, wake up, wake up. He believes that it's Alexi, but she sounds more desperate now than before. Noah notices that his wounds have vanished. He wonders if whatever happened was all a dream. And then Livian appears, but he has no idea who she is. He has no memory of her. She says that he's the lord of this castle, and she exists only to serve him. He feels like, compared to before, this time he feels as though he's lost within a dream. Livian lets him know that it's not that Noah came here to this place. He simply never left. And that the castle has always been his. Only in his endless slumber did he create these dreams so intricate that it made him forget the truth. Noah's like, I gotta wake up. Livian wants to know, well, wouldn't it be better to just stay here? This is a place that doesn't have strife, death. There's no weight of destiny and fate, tomorrow, and to just stay in the presence and be in that sense of peace. But Noah believes that he carries the weight of so many forgotten lives. Then he hears Alexi's voice pleading him to leave. Livian says, I do not expect you to trespass here. Now, these two are sisters. Alexi also pleads for Livian to wake up, which Livian doesn't understand. And suddenly, the door behind them is gone. 2-2. Illusion or reality? Bandit Joyce says, the data's stabilized. Did it work? And Hero Joyce says, I can't say for sure, but with Alexi on our side, nothing can go wrong. Village Chief Joyce says, then Joyce must get ready as well. Princess Joyce says, come, we must lend our strength to the hero. Bandit Joyce says, we got lucky this time, but what if we don't make it back? Princess Joyce says, Joyce believes they will succeed. Village Chief Joyce says, since our course is set, let us make the journey once more. All right, and they are now in this place again. Back in chapter 1, Noah also mentioned that things in Bathory Castle didn't feel right. Like he felt like he was already trapped in a dream. And he considers maybe Alexi and Joyce are also part of the dream. He's not sure that they can leave when Alexi says that's impossible. And her body begins vanishing. Livian says, this is my world and you're not welcome here. Alexi vanishes, leaving Livian and Noah alone again. She's curious what led him to realize that this place is just a dream. End the task, let them all bask in eternal bliss. And he realizes that it was her that called to him. He wasn't sure exactly what those words meant until he saw her. He realizes that from the first part of the event, the story of the castle, the forest, the dungeon, every place reflects something that he's already lived through, because no one dreams of what they have never seen. Livian is lonely in this dream that she constructed because despite being able to shape forests, she can't do things like shaping birds and beasts. She mentions, I can create life, yet not the thoughts that life deserves. In the story, in the Silver and Blood story, the whole concept of immortality, to be alive, is to be remembered and to have memories. So if these life forms do not have thoughts, do not have these memories, is it actually life? Livian, she just wants Noah to be her companion, to stay here in this dream realm with her. But despite feeling this peace right here in this castle, he knows that eventually they're going to have to wake up. Plus, there's all those people in the outside world who are waiting for him. But Livian says, what if the outside world has already fallen to ruin? And Noah says that it will not, because he's still here. He exists. And he encourages her to wake up with him. But she's not open to it. The world outside, it sucks. And she doesn't want to endure him again. And with that, it seems that she's waking up. And he says, take my hands, I'll lead you out. Alexi appears and realizes that they're back. She wants Noah to leave. Noah also wants Livian to go with them, but she still does not want to. She'd rather be alone than deal with whatever is happening in the outside world. Friends and futures. So he wakes up again, still in the castle walls. And then he hears Chief Joyce's voice, because why not? He realizes, I'm still not awake. And Joyce says, why did you lie back down again? Bandit Joyce is there too. Hero Joyce has also appeared. So is Princess Joyce. Joyce brings up the whole thing about Noah being a hero again, and Noah knows by now that it was all a dream, and Joyce is like, wait, pause. How could you have known that? Bandit Joyce says he was just rescued from Livian by Alexi. How could he not know it was a dream? Chief Joyce says, surely you're wise enough to know that there's no real world. Princess Joyce says, he must have discerned the source, the one who trapped us here. And Hero Joyce says, it's Livian. And if they fail to awaken Alexi and Livian at the same time, then Noah will remain trapped here for eternity. Noah considers that maybe the monster, Hero Joyce, sacrificed himself to, was actually guarding Livian, but Livian was refusing to wake up. Noah also realizes when he was asked to destroy the Demon Lord, the true purpose was to wake Livian up. Unfortunately, Livian's dream is actually collapsing, which is affecting everyone else that is in her dream. But the fact that it's collapsing doesn't even mean that they're able to get out. It just means that she's running from her own dreams. Hero Joyce says if they don't act right now, Livian might never wake up. But after the explosion, everything was reset back to the beginning. So Alexi is just as he met her in the very beginning. And remember, in the first part, the first half of the event, Alexi had no memory of anything prior to waking up in the castle. And no one wants to know what happens if Livian won't wake up. And Bandit Joyce says, well, we might be here forever. But Alexi was able to wake up. So if Alexi was able to reach Noah once, maybe she could do it again. Alexi is already well on her way to try to find Livian. And Noah arrives. The Joyces appear and offer to help. Alexi is swarmed by all of these monsters, but Noah is here to help. But despite two of them, it is really, really difficult to fend them all off. So the Joyces appear and say, we'll help. Dreams and tales. So this is Livian speaking. I have always harbored the hope that a hero might come to deliver this world from its suffering. From the moment I drew breath, I have been waiting for that hero destined never to appear. I have pondered endless reasons for my creation, a key to free history from its eternal cage, a blade to sever the cord binding time's flow. or perhaps a switch to awaken the arc that carries us from this crumbling world. But I have never known who I truly am, nor what I truly desire. Alexi appears. Livian is hiding out here because there's no pain, no suffering, there's just nothing, no burdens. She can just exist. And Livian asks, don't you have experiments to conduct with Joyce? And Alexi says, can't I just daydream with you? And Livian accuses her of being lazy, which is quite ironic. But Alexi says, no, she's here to take care of her little sister as well. Livian was thinking about the story that Alexi had told her. It was stirring up some sort of feeling within Livian, and it is a story about the hero. And apparently Alexi heard it from the Joyces. It is filled with castles, villages, forests, and a demon lord, things that they've never seen before. But Livian finds a little issue with that because these places don't exist. So how would Joyce and the others know about them? And Alexi says maybe they're memories drawn from some forgotten bloodline. But then Alexi says, wait, I got the next part to the story. After the master fell, the servants summoned a hero by magic, begging him to slay the demon lord. Did they succeed? It seems not. Each time the hero falls to the demon lord's beast, he revives within the castle, trapped in an endless cycle. Poor hero, why didn't he give up? Because he's a hero. Even through endless failure, one success can lead everyone to the light. At least, that's what Joyce said. You sound unconvinced. Alexi says, I can't imagine what I've never seen, but the stories say the hero slays the demon lord and lives happily ever after with the princess. Livian says, well, the princess, who's that? And Alexi says she's the castle lord's daughter, kidnapped by the demon lord. If the hero didn't save her, she'd have been eaten by the demon lord. And of course, Livian's like, so the princess is food? And Alexi, being the glutton that she is, says, well, I wonder what she would taste like. And before Alexi goes, she says, that story never had a proper ending, did it? After the hero defeats the demon lord, he finds the demon lord was lonely and only wanted company. You haven't guessed it yet, Livian is the demon lord. And she says, so the hero doesn't kill him. He stays and becomes the demon lord's closest friend. Livian says, so the hero marries the lord's daughter and befriends the demon lord he was meant to slay? And then Livian says, what an absurd tale. Alexi says, maybe the Joyces made that part up. They do tend to invent things. Okay, when she says they do tend to invent things, the first time I read this, I just didn't think anything of it. I was like, all right, yeah, it's Joyce. Even from the main campaign, we know that Joyce just jump scares people and just shows up in all of the most random places. This is important. We're almost at the end of this event, so let's keep a tab on this. The Joyces do tend to invent things. Back at the castle, Livian hears Noah's voice. But that's impossible, right? Because he left with Alexi. He has no reason to return. Livian insists that perhaps Livian believes that someone like her is destined to be lonely forever. They make it back and they find Livian, and he offers her his hand. Hey, let's go. Let's get out of here. Alexi confronts Livian. You trap us in this dream. Do you truly think that eases the pain? To watch us play out the same heroics again and again? Do you believe there's salvation in that? What a callback to the end of chapter 1, where Seth says the threads of fate are in motion again. Again, this is the whole premise of this game, right? Living the same cycles over and over and over and over and over. Noah says, you want someone to lead you out of the solitude, but what you fear what lies beyond it. So Livian seals herself away instead of reaching for these people who love her, who don't want her to be alone, who want to take care of her. Just a little side note, Livian's story is a little bit tragic. It just seems like the personification of depression. If you think about it, someone who is depressed doesn't necessarily want to get out of bed, doesn't want to go to work, doesn't really want to do anything, then sometimes maybe play on their phone or just sleep, can barely eat, or all of those things. And they tend to be a hermit and they hide away despite all of these people reaching for them, wanting to love them, wanting to help them. And he tells her, if you lift your head, you'll see that we've been waiting. We've been waiting for you. And Livian is asking, do you truly still want me? And Alexi says, forgiving a wayward sister, that's what big sisters are for. Yet Joyce says, Joyce can't hold on. Hero Joyce says, my arms ache. Princess Joyce says, my shoulders unbearable. Bandit Joyce says, we have to flee this place now. And they hear the monster. It's that multi-headed fiend again. But if Livian has already left her dream, why does it still exist? And Noah says, because Livian has not woken up yet. The castle standing proves that they're still trapped in it. She is only conscious in the dream, so she can't control these monsters anymore. Noah asks if Livian can lead them out, but she can no longer tell where reality ends and illusion begins. The Joyces start panicking, but Noah believes that there could be another way out. And Alexi says, you mean to defeat that fiend? And since it served as Livian's guard before this, if they could bring it down, the way out of the dream might show itself. And the Joyces are freaking out. But Hero Joyce is ready to go. He's ready to do his thing. So is Alexi. Alexi's 1000% down for anything that Noah wants. Legacy and victory. Here's where we're going to go a little bit nuts. Everything that we just talked about led up to here. Noah says that he never thought the fiend would strike from behind a door, and he says, how careless of me. Noah gets injured fighting the fiend. The Joyces attempt to fix him up, and the fiend believes that it has won. Noah wonders, does this fiend still possess its own will? And Livian says that that's impossible. Perhaps Livian was not the one who controlled the fiend.
Indeed.
The fiend was the one that commanded her, and the fiend says, yeah, that's exactly what happened. In fact, Livian never could control them. She lost that right from the beginning. Joyce says the dreams have turned on the dreamer. Bandit Joyce urges Noah not to get up because he hasn't been healed yet. The fiend exists. The fiend insists on its existence, and they don't want to vanish simply because Livian wakes up. So they need to control her. The fiend starts attacking all of them because it doesn't want to die. It doesn't want Livian to wake up. Why not just start over? But finally, Livian realizes what she needs to do. Noah strikes the fiend with the hero's sword. The fiend is wondering, how could this happen? How could something that is useless in this dream's construct still be able to harm them? And Noah says that when he has the blade, it becomes the key to shatter this dream. He shares that the strength of a hero is never just the hero himself, and he hands the blade to Livian. Livian doesn't understand, but Alex says, have you forgotten the tale I told you? And Livian says, if heroes rely on companions to beat the demon lord, why call one person a hero? Alexi says that the Joyces once told her a true hero is not a single person, but a legacy, a mantle passed on. So the blade was never forged inside the hilt. It was tempered in the bonds of his companions. It's actually Alexi and Livian who must draw the hero's sword. I don't think there's a lore reason why the sword comes from their boobs, but there it goes. Side note, my favorite Disney movie is The Sword in the Stone, and that definitely has Sword in the Stone vibes to it. He weakens the fiend and says, dreams may promise happiness, but that is also the cruelest part. When their self is lost,
Indeed.
the dream becomes a shackle. And Alexi's like, all right, I'm ready to get out of here. And Livian says, you were born because of me, so let me be the one to wake you. Livian doesn't want to run away anymore. Noah takes one final strike. They find a door. Okay, so Village Chief Joyce says, it has been so long since we returned. Joyce must inspect the equipment carefully to see whether any have sustained damage. And they're going to take the leave first. What is he talking about? What equipment? Have they left this place before? What do you mean sustained damage? Are we talking about mental health? What's happening here? So that part, I started getting some goosebumps. I started getting the creeps a little bit. Noah Nevernight has completed the story task. As a protagonist, defeat the demons without hesitation. So, whoop, that game is over. And then he hears Alexi's voice again. That's strange. Why hasn't Noah returned yet? The data fluctuations are spiking again. He's about to wake. And here we go. Doesn't this give you a little bit of Undertale going on, or any of those games in the psychological horror category? Because where are we? Alexi's excited. Oh, he's finally awake. And Livian says, data does not lie. And this is the part that everybody screenshotted and wanted to discuss. It's what's happening here. Why are they on a spaceship? Are we getting skins for these characters? What's happening? So Lexi says, it's great to have you conscious again, Noah. Records confirm that this is indeed our first meeting here. And Noah says, you're Alexi and Livian? And they say, this is what we look like in the physical world. It might take a moment to adjust. Noah's vision's a little blurry. Yeah, I bet they're... Okay, I'm just gonna leave my commentary. Noah remembers why he's there, and he says Agaris has arranged quite the curious trip for him. And apparently, they don't know who Agaris is. And he says it's like a kindred fate, souls bound to cross paths. Because if you remember, every time Noah wakes up in that carriage, it's with Agaris. He's always talking to Agaris. And Livian's like, I don't understand, but I'll write it down. But then Noah says when he arrived, he laid down on this device and it somehow linked us together. And he's never seen anything like it. And Livian explains this device preserves life during long sleep cycles. Oh, my brain started melting, because didn't they put all the ancestrals like Serene, Lamine, who else? Valora, Queen of Valora, Julius, aren't they in a long sleep cycle right now? What is preserving? Yeah, my brain is still scrambled from that one. And Alexi says that the dream that they experienced before are woven into this device. And Noah says it's unlike any alchemical machine I know. It's more like the church's future artifact. We first encountered those future artifacts with Van Helsing during the El Dorado arc. And Livian's like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna write this down. Noah is like, where am I? And they say, this is the ark, a vessel that moves between fixed points in time. I am aware that the very obvious answer here is they are on Noah's ark. Everything I have said when I was like, wait until the end, it'll all make sense. Here it is. When all parts fuse together, they form the complete divine body. And they are here to discover new possibilities with Joyce and the others. And they said, well, Noah might not get it, so let's just show him. And Village Chief Joyce says, Joyce, preparations complete. Because remember, they walked through the door first. They came back to see if this ark has sustained any damage. They wanted to make sure everything was okay. And Livian explains that whenever time draws to its end, Joyce is born anew to carry on the history that would otherwise fade. So there is always another Joyce. And Livian says, you must have encountered them elsewhere, haven't you? Well, yes, in Bella's suitcase, and also there's Bellringer Joyce. And he says, well, it's not, a fond memory. And Alexi says, okay, well, you're here. Let's try restarting the arc. And Noah says that might explain why I turned up here. Livian explains the Joyces have long studied this place, from making us the compass and bringing the dream into existence. Everything here stems from their experiments, the Joyces. They just never found a way to restart it. But the moment they broke free of the dream, the arc began to stir again. And they've already awaited this hero. And the ark has found its last captain. They let Noah know, you got it moving again. And he says, maybe this was a mistake. But Alexi says, mistake or not, even a wanderer can change the course of fate. This is the biggest hint on what is happening in this event. Because throughout the campaign, it's always, like, for example, Clive Jr. Clive Jr. knew at some point when he was 20 years in the past, Clive Jr. knew that he is going to eventually die. When he picked Hattie up from the calamity, he knew that he had to raise her. And then eventually, around him being 30 years old, he is going to die because a cycle is going to repeat. That is fate. And the question here is, whole campaign is named The Threads of Fate. Seth herself knows that these threads of fate run continuously over and over and over and over. And both the church and the Bloodborne understand that there is a sense of time. The Bloodborne want to cheat time because they want immortality. Meanwhile, the church believes that that's a sin, that even though they're immortal technically themselves, the church believes that that's not right. Everyone's got a fate. Everyone's got a destiny. And that's it. That's it. Stop messing with it. You got fate, you got destiny. And then meanwhile, these two Bloodborne over here and say even a wanderer can change the course of fate. So what's happening here? That's exactly what they're trying to do. And despite Joyce being a bell ringer who is tasked with holding on, with keeping fate and history intact, Joyce himself is trying to change something. Alexi says, "This time, we will journey into uncharted territory." Alexi notes that she was born aboard this ark, and this is the first time she's seeing a sky filled with stars. But Livian clarifies this is where all of history and time converge. And she notes that these distant points of life, they aren't all stars. They're gateways to another point in time. And Livian mentions that kind of drifting in that ether felt like being in a maze of nothing but endless forks. Okay, seriously, pay attention here. Noah mentions that it is like an infinite maze with no exit. So now think about the first part of the story. They were stuck in the woods and they just kept going in circles and circles and circles. Look at this maze, circles and circles and circles. And they, no matter where they went, even if they thought they found the end, they were still traveling in these circles. Now think about the castle again. Look in the center. I genuinely believe that where you are seeing the doodles of them right there in the center, when I told you, look at this background in that dungeon, in that castle, I think that is exactly where they are in this doodle right now. They are stuck in this circle. They are, remember when hero Joyce was trying to run ahead, he got turned around and then they all ended up in the same place because it's a maze. You can take different directions in a maze and still end up together. You still end up crossing paths with each other or go back to the same starting point, right? Noah says, no matter which path we take, there is never a way out. Each step simply becomes the start of another path. And the Joyces have reached that same conclusion. Time is the order by which space transforms, and space is the vessel where time reveals itself, isn't it? I did not do well in physics class. It's been a long time. It's been over 15 years since I had to take physics. I want to give credit to rabidzombiebun because they helped take a look at what my thoughts were, my thoughts and my research. And they're like, okay, I can see this, and then gave me a little bit more explanation behind it due to their background. So Livian says that if they can't unravel the domain's transformations, they're going to be caught in this endless temporal loop. Again, the whole story, the whole Silver and Blood story. And Alexi says, so that is why we never found an exit before. And in the storyline, in the campaign, they have never found a way outside of that threads of fate. And then Alexi asks, but how did Noah mention it, right? Noah is the key to everything in the main campaign. He's the one who was supposed to help fulfill this prophecy. There's like some silver-haired guy who is supposed to do all of this. So we're kind of seeing that parallel happening. Noah says the end cannot be reached while bound to the plane of time and space. Only by stepping beyond it could we find the way. Now look, they're zooming out of this, right? Now, watch this. It says, instead of finding the endpoint within that domain, you stopped the ark's motion against the maze itself. And then he redefined what direction means. Remember, they were talking about a compass earlier. And once the arc stands on its own coordinate, the maze of time and space no longer binds them. It becomes an object that they can observe and choose from. And now look at the maze changing. As though stepping above the plane to view the maze in its entirety, what they needed was not an exit hidden within it, but to make their own exit. So instead of being chained by the laws of time and space, you have to rewrite them. And of course, only Noah can do such a thing because he's the MC. And Noah says, but he's altered nothing. He is just using what is already happening. He's just manipulating whatever tools are already available to him. But now they have to chart their destination. Where do we go from here? We know that there is stuff that we can manipulate. We can actually exit the situation. Now, where are we going? Please select the world you wish to travel to. Oh, this gave me the creeps. But let us look at the topographic map. You can see up top, you see the numbers 700, 800, 900. So it's talking about how it's going up, right? And that is what you are looking at. When we are looking at something like that, imagine that we're going through the maze. We are going straight in front of us, right? So we are in between these walls. We know how to go in front of us. We know how to go behind us, but we are not looking from the top down. Remember, when they shifted that image, we are talking about moving top down. So when you are above all of it and you can see the whole maze, what happens? You can get out of it. They use the maze analogy to show that when you think of time in a linear way, you can see what's in front of you, which is the future, and what's behind you, the past. But no matter what, you are still stuck in that maze. You will forever be living in the present in that maze. And that is why everyone is stuck in the same past, present, future loop. They are all reliving this maze. They are always starting from the beginning and doing this maze over and over and over, making the same decisions. And by breaking out of the dream that seemed to be in this loop, Noah figured out how to get out of the threads of fate time loop through that simulation. Now, Joyce himself, I need more lore on, but his existence throughout the game, seemingly random. We saw him in the F. Bella Lorelei arc. We saw him as a bell ringer. We see him pop out of Bella's suitcase. We saw him in El Dorado. We see that he is the one who brought Joan in as a bell ringer. And Joyce is just everywhere in Silver and Blood, but he's not a playable character yet. But his existence, seemingly random, is kind of confirmed that Joyce is some form of a player. This Noah's Ark, it is, when they're talking about set the destination, what is the next coordinate? Where are they going? Let's think of a video game. You start off playing a video game and it is a new game. You've never played it before and you're going in without any guides. And let's say you almost get to chapter 1, but you can't win the boss fight. Now that you've played through, you might think, okay, why didn't I beat this boss? Maybe my gear wasn't right. Maybe I picked someone that is underpowered. Maybe I built my character wrong. So what do? You save it just in case you want to go back to this file, right? You start the game over and you have more knowledge about the game. You have a better understanding of how to play the game. And maybe you beat chapter 1. And what do? You save the game there because you know that something is coming up next, but you're heading into uncharted territory and you might make some mistakes again. So you start moving into chapter 2 and something happens, you're unable to progress. You might restart that file at chapter 1 instead of starting all the way back in the beginning of the game. So now you are back to the end of chapter 1 and you want to try that again. You keep moving, but you get to maybe you get to an elite quest and you hear the music, you know that you're going to have a major fight, so you save your game file there just in case you need to go back. Let's say that didn't work. You figured out that you messed up along the way as well. So you go back to that end of chapter 1 save file. So how many save files do you have now? You have your original playthrough. You have the one at the end of chapter 1. You have the one from before you entered the elite battle. Maybe you tried again at that elite battle and booted up that save file again. Perhaps you started back at the end of chapter 1 and you made another new save file. So that's what Joyce is doing. That Joyce keeps replicating because every time they are trying this cycle again, there is a new Joyce. Joyce is the one that is preserving history, that is preserving all of these save files, trying to figure out how to beat the game. And ultimately, it feels like Noah is the main character of the game. It feels like Silver and Blood is getting really meta, and by playing the character Noah, the MC, eventually Joyce gets the answer, gets to where they need to be. And Alexi always loses her memories because the save file is being restarted. Noah is waking up again thinking, oh, I've been here before. It's because the save file keeps getting rebooted and rebooted. And every time you boot up a new save file, you're reactivating one of the Joyces that have already been there. And every time there's a new save file, it's just Joyce branching off into another place. That's my explanation of this event. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did, and I will see you next time.